guys, welcome back to another episode of Mindful Witchery.
Hello, everybody. We have so many exciting things happening. I can't even talk right. We have so many things coming up, but we have some really kind of exciting news to announce today, and an interesting topic to talk about that we were just sitting here talking about
For the past hour and a half.
Yes, exactly, which is what we always do. We sit and talk for about an hour and a half, 2 hours before we actually get to the topic for Mindful Witchery. We flesh it out, I guess you'd say. But we have some exciting news. I think we should just go ahead and tell everybody, Sarah.
Yeah, let's do it.
We are going to have a virtual Mindful Witchery tea party.
Yay!
So exciting!
And this will be a great opportunity for if you ever wanted to meet us, if you've never met us, if you have any witchy or meditation or just random questions you've wanted to ask us, just been burning to ask
anything about us or anything about witchery, or if you just want to come to be a part of a group. I know this was kind of inspired. This came off of some questions and messages that we've gotten in the past about people who are coming into their own with their witchcraft and who kind of feel a little alone at times, and that's pretty common. Witchcraft is still a very marginalized,
very much so,
practice.
Yeah, and
sometimes it is hard to find like-minded people in your area, and we thought it would be a nice opportunity for us all to get together and be a witchy family.
Yeah, even if you don't live in New England, you
absolutely
could totally do it.
If you live in wherever you live, you can tune in because we're going to do it on Zoom.
Yes, so we're going to do it on Zoom, and we will announce how we're going to do that with more details. Send us an email if this sounds good to you, and then we can make sure we get you that information. We'll be announcing it on Facebook and Instagram. So
and we will post the link once we make the actual Zoom party, and we'll post the link so you can just tune right in with us. And that is going to be Sunday, August the 8th at 1:00 p.m. Our time, Eastern Standard Time.
It'll be perfect. And if you can't tune in right away, we'll give you the link. If you're like 10 minutes, half an hour late, no worries at all. It's going to kind of be one of those.
Absolutely.
things.
Come when you can. And it will go on. It will start when it can, and it will last as long as it needs to. So if you just want to sit and bring your teacup, bring your witchy hat, bring your broom, bring your crystals, bring whatever you want to bring,
and some snacks. Very important. I know I'll have snacks.
And sit and talk to us and ask us questions, and we will probably ask you questions because I'm very curious about all of you. So that's going to be Sunday, August the 8th at 1:00 Eastern Standard Time. Once we make the actual appointment on Zoom, we will post the link to you on Facebook and Instagram, and you can come and join us for our witchery tea party.
Oh, I just cannot wait.
It's so exciting. I can't wait to see faces because I've corresponded with some of you, and I would love to see faces.
Oh, it'll be so good. Great to meet you guys.
So
and
much fun.
I know for me, I always am really hesitant doing like Zoom things.
Me too.
Because I'm like, oh my God, I don't know any of these people or whatever, but it's going to be super, super casual. So if you really don't feel comfortable showing your face and you just want to come on with your beautiful voice, that is totally fine too. I know I get shy sometimes, like doing meetups with people I don't know. So like, don't even worry about it. Everybody's going to be there. It's going to be very respectful and kind and lovely. So
and a chance to gather and be in the same vibe with your fellow witches.
Yes. So please join us. That would be great. Feel free to reach out with any questions, and you'll be hearing more about that in the next couple weeks.
And also, one of the things that we wanted to let you know is that after next week, I think Sarah and I are going to be taking August off. There's a lot going on, and we'll talk to you more about those exciting things
when we
later.
come back. Season 3. Yes. Season 3.
And there's so many exciting things going on, and we're going to be spending time with our families and enjoying the end of summer and getting prepared and rested for witchy season.
It's going to take a lot of our focus and energy with Samhain coming up, and I can't believe it.
So exciting. I can't believe it's been this long since we talked about Samhain before.
And I think, Lori, if I'm correct, that I think this might be our 1-year anniversary, this episode.
It will.
Yeah, because we've been doing it since August.
Yes.
Oh my God. So we're going to be celebrating that. We'll celebrate it our first episode when we come back. That's so exciting. Look at us.
Being all
witchy and shit.
All witchy and shit, yeah. Do you ever notice that everything's good if you say "and shit" after
and
it?
Shit.
Like if I say I knit or I'm knitting, it doesn't necessarily sound great. But if you say I'm knitting and shit, it makes it sound so cool.
I've been using that so much lately. I don't know if that's like a new thing.
I'm cooking dinner and shit.
Yeah, no big deal. Yeah, I always say "and stuff."
Yeah, me too. Usually I use the "and stuff" thing.
It's like, what's in this? Oh, chicken
and stuff.
And stuff.
Or if you say anything "and friends" after it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like the Muppets and Friends. Or if you even said Genghis Khan and Friends. It just sounds better.
Sounds like a band.
More accessible, you know? I don't know what it is about that.
I love it. I love witchy shit.
I love witchery and shit.
Talking about witchy shit is I am going to Salem on Friday.
Ooh.
I cannot believe I'm finally going to Salem again. It's going to be... The weather should be better. Mm-hmm. So I think this was supposed to be like a breeze that day. But I'm meeting up with one of my best friends in the whole world. I haven't seen her since our wedding, like over a year and a half ago. So I'm so excited to see her. We're just going to walk around.
Exciting.
She's not really into the witchy shit, but I am just going to soak it all up. And I just can't wait to go eat good food and be by the ocean. So,
you know, actually, since you said Salem, it reminded me that I wanted to make sure that I said this, which was July 19th was the anniversary of the Salem witch executions.
Yes.
I thought a lot that day about the heaviness of that and how I really don't understand how people were terrified of the healers of that time, but they weren't afraid of the people who hung them.
Whoa. Yeah.
It's unbelievable. I still, every holiday where, you know, we talk about the trials, we talk about the actual hangings, it just amazes me that so many good people, so many healers were killed out of basic ignorance, I guess.
It's going to sound so snarky of me, but...
Snark away.
But if God's on your side, Lori, you're a good guy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? As long as God's on your side. That's pretty much what was going on. Is a bunch of people, you know.
And granted, I understand that we don't have, or back then they didn't have explanations for things. Like, there wasn't a scientific explanation for some of the things that were happening.
No.
And so when that happens, you automatically turn to gods and godlessness.
Yeah.
Or Satan for your explanations. And I get that, I guess, but it's just a shame.
Yeah, it's a shame, and it's hard to even fathom now that similar situations still happen today. Like, these evil, I don't use that word often, but very evil, misguided people.
Ignorant people do
things like this in the name of religion.
Yes.
And it's sad, and it grosses me out. It's gross.
It's icky and gross.
Yeah, it's icky. That I was reading, so it was Pride Month last month, or the month before. I don't even know what month it is, but it was just Pride Month, and I've just been reading so many stories, and that's what this kind of reminded me of, is prosecuting people because they love somebody, and they love themselves enough to know who they are, and people are being killed. People being killed.
Outright
killed because of religion. And it puts a bad taste in my mouth. And I don't hate religion. I really don't. I don't want to be taken wrong. However, the things done in the name of religion that impede on people's civil liberties, there's no words really to, like, I can't even believe what people have to go through because of just who they are, who they love, and what they want to look like or who they want to be.
I just can never imagine, and I think I've said this before, I can never imagine, I mean, I have my own kind of non-relationship with the higher power, and my higher power may not be God, but I like to think that God is not a vengeful God. And I can't imagine being part of a religion who is afraid of the entity that they are putting their lives in their hands.
Do you think it's easier when they view things that way?
Yeah, it's simpler. It's black and white.
Yeah. Oh, yes, exactly.
God will smite you.
Yeah.
If you do this.
There's no wiggle room.
If then.
Yeah, if then. And it's easier for people to deal with trauma and sorrows and things they don't understand if who they're obeying is a
vengeful
nasty,
and spiteful
nasty.
and smiteful.
Yeah.
Yes, and it just, I mean, I know people who don't believe God is that way, and they still have their relationship with God. They go to church every Sunday,
Yeah.
and it's not that way. And those people are much more open to understanding things that aren't necessarily like them than people who think of God as a vengeful God.
Yeah. And they probably don't view as God as some dude, right?
No.
Either. Like, God is, the word God is all-encompassing. Actually, like, thinking about that way, like us as like pagans, us as witches, our God is nature, right? It's the natural order of things. Honestly, I'm my own God. Really, when it comes down to it, like my higher power is me.
Absolutely.
When it comes down to it, right?
Free will and the choices we make
it's all
are
on
consequences and rewards, and that's kind of how we look at it. And I don't know, it just makes me so sad to think that ever happened, much less that it's still happening today.
Yeah. And if you don't think it is, go read a book.
Go read a book. Go watch the news.
Go watch a nice YouTube video.
Yes. Yeah. It's really, really sad that all the things that are happening and that I just always think to myself, who am I to ever tell anyone that they can't love someone as much as I love my husband and my children?
Yeah.
Who am I? What kind of entitlement? Where did that entitlement come from? That's what makes me mad. Entitlement makes me angry, folks. I mean, I'm going to go. I feel the terror starting.
Do it. Let it.
But I am so tired of people who feel entitled. So done with it. I'm so done with people feeling like they have the right to be able to judge and to be sanctimonious about people that they know nothing about.
Yeah.
It drives me insane. Entitlement drives me insane.
Yeah.
And it's out there everywhere. It's out there in the way people treat other people.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever watched any of those Dar Man videos.
No.
Basically, I found them on Facebook. They kind of showed up in my little video thingy.
Yeah.
And Dar Man is a producer, writer, and he makes these short films about things that first of all, they're terribly acted. They're horribly acted. Darman, you really need to think about the people you have acting in these things. It's very low budget.
It's kind of like those like reenactment videos when there's like a crime.
It's very low
mysteries.
budget, but it's like, he'll have things about, one of the ones that comes to mind is there's a man and a woman in a shoe store, and they're selling shoes. And they look, and the woman says, "Oh, we just got the new special edition Louis Vuitton, whatever." I don't know a lot about shoes, but you get past Vans and you've lost me. But she's talking to him, and he says, "Oh, I'd love to sell these. The commission would be great." And she's like, "Watch and learn, because this is how you sell shoes." So this woman walks in, and she's wearing a kerchief over her head. They made it. The filming is bad because they made it super obvious that she was supposed to look like she was poor.
Oh my God.
And so she comes in and she goes, "Oh my God, are those the new Louis Vuittons?" And the girl goes, "Oh, you can't afford those." It's very, very obvious stuff. And then it turns out at the end that she actually is a millionaire and owns her own company, and she went to have her nails done. So she wasn't dressed up for work or dressed up or anything, but she had the cash to pay for the shoes.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Things like if you ever get a chance, it's DHR, Dar, Man, MANN. Maybe look it up on YouTube or something. Like I said, I'm not saying the acting is great. I'm not saying the film quality is great. But the message there about people who are entitled and get what they deserve in the end is just spot on.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, Dar Man.
Yeah, it's tricky, right?
It is.
It's tricky. That entitlement's tricky because it's what we're taught. We're taught to be entitled. Most of us are in the Western world are taught to be entitled. But there's a difference between entitlement and confidence. I feel, and ego.
Yes.
Right. It's when the ego starts to take over the confidence. I think. I think I'm great in certain areas. Not all the areas, but there's certain things that I know I know, and I'm smart, and I know these things about myself, and I work hard to get those things. Me saying that isn't me being entitled, right?
That's me, you knowing what you know.
Me honoring these parts of myself.
Sure,
and
absolutely.
I do those in other people. But it's like if I'm just like, oh, you're not in school, or like judging somebody because they don't dress a certain way,
or not listening to somebody when you think, like, that's what I see more than anything, is that people don't listen.
No.
They are already formulating their answer before they're not even listening to what the person's saying. They're already formulating their answer. They hear the first 2 words and then they're formulating. And I've even had people say to me, it is my right to judge.
Excuse me?
How? How does that happen? How does that happen?
How do you function?
Yeah, and I think that's what's the beauty. One of the beautiful things about practicing witchcraft is that you are forced to let go of your ego, and I think you really realize when you're practicing witchcraft that you are a very, very small part of a very big universe, and if that's not humbling, then I don't know what is. You know, it's so humbling to be, and such an honor to be able to practice this ancient art. And part of that is letting go of your ego, letting go of your judgment, and understanding. And it's just like you said earlier, we worship the passage of time. We worship the cause and effect of time and what that does, and the wave of energy that flows through time.
How we're all connected.
Yes.
In very interesting, intricate ways. I just like honoring that. You know,
absolutely.
Not always being good at it, right? Like, I still judge people.
Sure.
Right? I still am super shitty to myself sometimes. I don't love myself always. You know, like, so it's like, but also knowing that we're human and part of all of this. And like, when you were talking too, I was thinking how people get ahead at work, right? A lot of the people who unfortunately are making the most money, are in positions of power, have been very cutthroat to get there. Unfortunately, not all of them, but we're taught that you have to step on people to get ahead. Where does that end? Because I'm thinking, you know, I've been applying for jobs, right? And kill or be killed. Like, I want to do this interview the best. I want to make myself look better than everybody because I need this job more than anybody. But it's like, where's the line? Because I almost have to think that way to accomplish my goals. And I don't know if that's really stepping on people or is it?
Well,
it's
I think as you move, it's like a line and the line diverges. It's like you're in the same spot that everybody else is in. I'm applying for this job and I really, really want this job and I want to make myself look like the best candidate. Then the line diverges. What do I do at that point? Do I tout my strengths? Do I make sure they understand my strengths and I make sure that I'm personable and that that I'm somebody that they could work with? Or do I diverge on the other path and lie? And to get where I need to be, or cut throat someone else to get where I need to be.
Yeah,
or copy someone else.
Oh, copy somebody else. Yes. Which we've both seen.
Absolutely.
Many times in our lines of careers and life.
Segue.
That's what we wanted to talk about today. But perfect.
How about that?
Lori,
woohoo!
that
You can tell I was an English teacher. Woo! Yes. Transitioning is my game.
I'll let you start then, because you had a lot of really interesting points when it comes to copycats in social media.
Copycats, and where is the line? It's gotten very confusing, I think, with social media because I see it all the time. Things like people taking pictures from a website and putting them on their website as their cover photo or whatever, and not giving credit to the person who took the photo. You know, where is the line on that, I guess, is what we've been talking about. I mean, I'm not a photographer. I'm not a professional photographer by any means. I take pictures because I like to, and sometimes I share them on specific pages or websites or whatever, if like cemetery photos.
Yeah.
I mean, I take a lot of cemetery photos. I'm a member of a lot of cemetery groups, and I put those photos on there. And when I first started doing it, I noticed that it would say like 55 shares. And I'm thinking, who's sharing this? Who is, and I just caught myself wondering, where is my photo ending up? You know, I mean, I'm not a professional photographer, so I'm like, okay, I will make it so that it's not shareable. But then a friend of mine told me, he said, why don't you put a signature? He said, it's not legal by any means. You couldn't pursue it legally if somebody used it and had your signature on it, but it does deter people. And by golly, if that wasn't what happened, people stopped sharing. The next photo I shared with my signature on it got shared once.
Yep.
You know, it's like, even though it doesn't, so those of you out here who are taking photos and putting them in groups on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and you're being kind of taken aback by people sharing them, put your signature. Like I said, there's nothing legal to that. There's no legal way that you could do anything to a person because they shared your photo with your signature. But at the same time, it's a super good deterrent.
It is.
And I don't know, and I'm not trying to be selfish. I mean, I want people to enjoy the pictures I take, but in the end, they're my pictures.
They're your pictures.
I have no legal recourse whatsoever for 1,000 people sharing my photo and putting it in Timbuktu for all I know. But at the same time, it putting my signature is for me. I think because it is a deterrent. It makes me wonder less where my photo's ending up or who's taking credit for my photo. Yeah. I might have had to have. Some of the cemeteries I go to are hikes. Yeah. I mean, they're hikes. Some of them have not been mowed in years, and I end up with ticks, and I end up with all these things, chiggers, whatever you want to, imagine. I've seen snakes. I've run into snakes. So taking that picture wasn't just a matter of me standing there going, oh, how pretty, click.
Nice. You have to, move your body in certain ways that are uncomfortable.
Because you're really thinking about it. You're not wanting the shadow. Because you're there in the afternoon and you're getting the shadow and you're literally doing yoga trying to get out of the shot. So you're putting effort in. And that kind of gives you cause to think, I'm putting all this effort in here and then this person just takes it and credits themselves. Or, you think about things like that. And you actually are an artist with copyrighted work. And I was just telling Sarah earlier, I was watching, it was some kind of documentary about Metallica. And it was about the struggle they were having with Napster in the 90s. And everybody hated Metallica at the time because they thought, well, why shouldn't we be able to listen to your music for free?
And all you youngins, go look up what Napster is.
Yeah, exactly. All you people who don't know what Napster is. But people could go and they could download music for free. I mean, entire albums.
It was huge.
And I can't say I hadn't done it.
Oh, yeah, I used to. I was a kid.
Yeah, but at the same time, looking back on it now, an artist works. Like, if you're a plumber and you go to somebody's house and you fix their plumbing, that you fix their leak, they pay you for it. Yeah. What's the difference between a musician working to provide you with entertainment and music that inspires you and that plumber?
I think I have some type of answer for that.
And I mean, if a plumber comes into my house and cleans or fixes my leak in my kitchen and says, oh, well, there's no charge. Okay. But that's not ever going to happen.
Yeah. And I think it's because in our society, hear me go back to systemic society, but we as a society do not put value to artists.
And it's entitlement
and creatives.
Yes.
And
it's abstract.
And it's too abstract.
There's not like a product.
So we're taught that job, that position is not as important. And those people must do it for fun. So of course they'll do this project for free. Sure. I wish we had Sarah Adam on here for this one.
Oh, yeah.
She has a lot to say about, she's way more knowledgeable than me about
me too,
people getting paid for the work that they do. And going back to what you were saying about the cemetery photography, when somebody shares something on Facebook, that thing gets shared over and over again. Also, when it's public like that, somebody can literally right-click, save, and Photoshop any of that, including
any face, any body.
And Lori, it happens all the time to artist people that I know, artist friends, whether it's musicians or whatever, but artists, like illustrators, anything like that, it happens all the time. And, talking about social media, and when the internet started and kind of generationally, nobody really learned social media, internet etiquette, really. Like,
and now we've opened Pandora's box and we can't close it back. Now we're stuck.
Exactly.
We're stuck
and
with
people
what we
have become so used to taking people's work, sharing it, because they think because it's online that it's for everyone. People can just take things.
Sure.
And it's unfortunate, and I think people are doing that maliciously. Yes, because like, oh, look, I'm going to steal this and put it on my own pottery. Like, you know, which I just recently saw. This amazing, brilliant artist called this potter out because she was taking her artwork and putting it on her pottery, like printing it on the pottery. And the potter's just like, I'm not doing anything wrong. This is my artwork, and it's obviously not. But the unfortunate part is, nothing comes out of it. Nothing comes out of it. Like, nobody gets charged,
right?
Because
there's no legal
artist,
recourse.
So,
Yeah,
no, there hardly is. So,
and my friend Cheyenne, she's a photographer. She has the most eloquent way of explaining all this. I wish we could have her on here right now. She's so fantastic. Hi, Cheyenne Roos. But she's a brilliant photographer, and she photographs things out in the Midwest. Just brilliant. And she gets her stuff. She said she gets her stuff stolen all the time, and that's the right word for it. Is stealing.
Stolen. It's stealing.
Pirating. Yeah. Whatever you want, whatever awful name you want to call it. Everybody, these artists, whether you're a singer, an actor, a print artist. Whatever you are as an artist, you deserve to get paid for your work.
You do.
And I know it's hard for some people because they're just starting out and they just want their work. They would just want the exposure. But if you start out that way, it's going to end that way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just know if you're putting your stuff on the internet, it's going to get stolen. And I hate to even be dramatic, but if you put your stuff out on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of that, it will be stolen. I'm not even exaggerating. It will. I know my stuff has been. Yeah. Lori, I went to a craft show once. I'll never forget it. This group of younger kids, I mean, they weren't like that young. They were like 17, 18. Came over, they looked at my stuff. Oh, this stuff is great. Blah, blah, blah. Some of the friends walked away, and this kid was up close, taking pictures of some of my prints. And I'm like, oh, like, could you not do that? You know, if you do that, can you tag me? Like, or something? Yeah. I was very nice. And he's just like, oh, no, I was just going to use it as my desktop background. And I'm like, and he just, like, walked away. And that was the first experience I had where that has happened. And it wasn't the last. Where now on my table when I was doing art shows, I was just like, do not take pictures of my work. And I've seen that too. A lot of people, Lori, customers, got so pissed at that. I got such negativity for posting, even on my social media posting, do not take pictures of my work. If you take pictures, of your work at home, please tag me in it. And people get angry. Yeah, I'm like, I think there's a lack of understanding.
Lack of understanding and entitlement.
Yeah,
entitlement.
And I don't even think a lot of people come at it maliciously either.
Right, exactly.
I think there's unfortunately, a lot of people out there who don't realize how illegal that is and don't realize what they're doing. Like, oh, I see something on Facebook, pretty, like somebody who's like of an older generation may not understand what they're doing because this is new, right? It's still new years later.
Yeah.
That the internet blew up, but not understand like, oh, if you share something that it could be stolen or copied or like it looks like you're sharing it as your own artwork. I don't think people know this. I think they're naive to that being a thing.
Even memes and things like that, these inspirational memes and everything. Just make sure, guys, that you're crediting the person. I mean, granted, sometimes people do memes and they didn't write them because there's no signature. But I always try to make sure that if I have the meme on my page, that I have the signature of the person. I won't put a meme that doesn't have anything.
Yeah.
Any signature or identification. I will make sure that it's a meme that has this person's signature, even though they might not have written it. I'm giving it the old college try.
Yep. Yeah, you do. Even if you're like artist unknown, I write that sometimes, artist unknown. And if it's artist unknown, I never share it usually. But if I do, I wrote, if you know this artist, can you tell me? Because that would be great.
Due diligence. Yeah. Do the right thing.
The right thing.
And I mean, on the flip and the dark side of that, I always think about like how many times I've posted pictures of my kids and how it's so easy for somebody to just take that. I know people go, well, I've blocked people from being able to share my work. It's called a screenshot.
Yeah, it's called a screenshot. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, people are so, well, I made sure that my work isn't shareable. It only stays on my page. It's called a screenshot.
There are people on the internet that know way more than you.
They're ruthless. And they're brilliant.
And they know how to do this. Mm-hmm. And people don't think, oh, it couldn't happen to me. Yes, it probably has happened to you.
It probably has.
That's the reality, and that's the scary part. Mm-hmm. That our faces are probably somewhere we don't want them to be.
Exactly. In reality, that's true.
And if, it's sad that it's not sad that we need the internet, right? I think the internet's a wonderful thing, but it's sad that we have to be so careful. Mm-hmm. And the sad reality is that the internet is not like real life, right? It is a virtual place that things that can't happen or don't happen in real life happen. So I just don't think a lot of people are still fully aware.
Yes, I agree.
How unmonitored the internet is.
It's Pandora's box.
Yeah.
It's Pandora's box. And it was opened, and there's no way to close it now.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's open.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. We're good. Anything and everything,
it's there.
Is there for the taking. And it amazes me sometimes, and I mean, this is kind of funny to me, is, people say imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. Mm. It's not. Mm-hmm. It feels very violating when someone takes your idea and uses it. And people are clever. And this is what, I give credit to some people because they change a few words. Mm-hmm. They, modify things just enough. Just enough. And they just basically steal your ideas. I mean,
because what you're doing is working.
And in the end, we both realize that there is nothing we can do about somebody stealing an idea.
Yeah.
Unless we want to go out and trademark it or patent it or copyright it or whatever. But people can't, it's not really, I don't know that it's possible to really steal an idea necessarily. But when you're consciously taking the idea of somebody else and just kind of tweaking it a little and using it as your own, as if you came up with the idea.
That's stealing.
And
we see it too, like in the podcast world. We do, because
it is prevalent in the podcast community.
Oh, totally. And at the same time, like, people are like, oh, there's no original ideas anymore, right? There is, when you keep taking from the same source.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, what am I trying to say? You know what I'm trying to say. It's hard to explain because it's like not trying to be cryptic, but, I've seen like podcasters out there blatantly take
using the same names, words, using the names,
using similar music. Uh-huh. And I know there's like thousands, even maybe millions of podcasts out there, but it's like when you're in the same social circles, it becomes obvious.
The same topics, the same.
Yeah. Yeah. And like we're in the witch world, there's certain topics that we talk about. We talk about herbs, since we're in the wellness world, we talk about
the
meditation.
Moon, we talk about meditation.
If you have the same title and it wasn't your intention, right?
Yeah, it happens. But when you're using the same words or the same euphemisms or the same
type of posts.
Yeah, the same type of language, even the same guests.
Yeah.
Like, that's a little too much to be. And again, we're not trying to be petty here, but we want to point out that, common decency dictates that you have your own ideas and you have your own thoughts and you use your own words, and you don't need to pull from somebody else's words or actions or
artwork. Really, this is like spans so many different genres.
You have your own ideas. And I know that sometimes it's hard to put yourself out there. I mean, I think one of the first things my husband said to us about this podcast was, I think it's brave that you guys are putting yourselves out there.
Yeah.
Anybody can put themselves out there. Just put yourself out there as yourself, for goodness sake, and not as somebody else.
Oh, totally. And it's easy, too, like when you're first starting out, to listen to other people's podcasts. Look at other people's work. Like, absolutely. I was telling Lori earlier that Edward Gorey is an artist and my inspiration. And if you saw my artwork and you also knew Edward Gorey, you'd be like, oh, I bet you like Edward Gorey. But I don't copy his work.
It's not copied. It's either you can tell that it's
from
influence,
these teachers.
But right?
But it's like that's kind of it, Lori. Like, and there's no answer.
No, there's no answer.
I don't think any of us can really fathom or know, but where's the line?
It just feels very violating when you see somebody else use your words or or says things the way you say them.
Yeah.
It feels so violating.
Yeah.
It really does. You're like, hey, that's mine.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you can't copyright a thought, but at the same time, I know I say things a certain way. I know you say things a certain way. And when you hear that come out of somebody else's mouth, it's...
Yeah. Like, oh, I like that. I'm going to take that.
Yeah.
And run with it. Like, no.
So don't do that.
Yeah. Like, I know we're being cryptic here, but
Yeah.
it's like, we've seen it recently.
Yeah, and it is. It's hurtful, and it's violating, and we don't like it.
But,
So.
at the same time, that's the risk we took.
That is
right?
exactly right. That is the risk we took.
But we also acknowledge, too, that, like, we put ourselves in this situation. But at the same time, it's just like, I feel like we all have a responsibility as humans to just...
do the right thing.
Do the right thing and respect each other.
Yes.
And I know that's, like, naive of me to think that, like, oh, everybody's just going to do
the
right thing.
To me, I mean, it's like we have a job to do, and that
Yeah.
is to be kind to other people and be respectful of other people. And when you're doing these things, you're not being respectful to other people.
Yeah.
So.
It's taking... You know what? I think one of my biggest things is people taking advantage of other people.
Mm-hmm.
It's... Or, like, what's the word? There is a word for what I'm trying to say. It's like when you hang out with somebody just to take things from them. There's a word for that, isn't there?
There probably is a word for it.
It's like taking advantage of somebody.
taking advantage of somebody's friendship.
And, yeah. And, it's happened to me. This is what this reminds me of. It's like, I think we've all experienced this, is, we become friends with somebody, right? And like, oh, this person's so great. And like, you start to get to know each other, and, and all of a sudden the person goes one day, and you see them, doing your stuff. And so, like, this has happened to me multiple times.
And that's a conscious thing.
Yeah.
That's not something that accidentally happens and it spurts out because
No.
you're inspired by somebody.
They use you.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to
Yes.
say.
Mm-hmm.
People using other people for their own financial benefit or personal gain in any way. I think that's, like, the opposite of all my values.
Yes.
And I think it's a conscious choice.
It is conscious choice.
I really, really, especially that one in particular. And I think we all have to deal with it in some way, and especially like online, which is what we're talking about too, happens all the time, just now in a different way.
And honestly, I know, guys, that we're being passively aggressive here. I get that, but that's the only way we can do this and get it off our chest without saying names or saying, details and things that we would respectfully never do.
Yeah.
So we kind of are being passively aggressive here, but
I know, and I feel icky about it,
Yeah.
but I think it's important to talk about too.
but it's something that's happened to the point now where it's getting on our nerves. So
yeah, and it makes me feel terrible, right?
It does me too.
It makes me feel terrible that this, we don't have to talk about this, but I think it's like at the point now where we're like, okay, well, I think this goes a lot with how we view the world too, and like witchcraft and our values and, our life and how we view things. It's like, where's that line with how the world is now, and
how does this align with our own personal philosophies, and how does it align with who we are as a person?
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, it is, and it's one of those things where I don't know. I guess I'm just, it's just something that we had to talk about just because it's gotten to the point where it's really, really bothering us.
We talk about it all the time.
And we know you and you know us, and we know that we can trust you with all of our thoughts and the things that we're thinking about and what hurts us as well as what makes us happy. So
yeah. And how important our relationship to, like, sidetracking, but with our relationship with the internet and the digital world, I think is a really important thing to reassess. And unfortunately, you have to be careful about what you put out there because there is a risk us putting ourselves out there, putting our families' faces out there.
And it doesn't go away.
It doesn't go away.
Once it's on the internet, and I know this sounds old-fashioned, but I'm 53, so grant me a little bit here. Once it's out there, it can't be brought back.
Yeah.
Once your photo or nude selfie or your thoughts even
Yeah.
are out there. I don't care how private you make it.
Mm-hmm.
Once it's out there,
people can get it.
People can get it, and it's there forever.
Yeah. Don't think
so. Young people,
yeah.
please listen carefully to that. Once you put it out there, it's out there forever, and it can always be accessed. I don't care who you're private messaging.
Yep.
It can always be found.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
It is. I hate even talking about it because I'm like, oh, God, this is terrible.
And in that way, it's not like the real world.
No.
In the real world, if it's not on video, it can be private.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Yeah, and I love putting things on video.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
Right? It's like, but it's also like a conscious choice. It sounded like I was out there doing porn, but like, you know, like I have a...
It was a conscious choice when I did that movie.
Which I don't have any, you know, the adult entertainment world, you do you. Like,
yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. But like I do vlogs,
yeah.
right? And I'm very comfortable with putting myself out there to a certain degree, but I do know someday that I'm going to get negative feedback, but it's the risk you take in to get upset about people stealing your stuff and, you know, all of this being like, well, I put myself out there and nobody should do that. I think that's just naive to a certain point. It's just like we have to start educating ourselves.
And we are freely admitting that. We are freely admitting
totally.
that this there is no recourse that we have. We understand that. It's just kind of really getting it off our chest more than anything else. We took the risk. We knew the risk when we took it, and we knew that there were going to be people out there who were probably going to either really super criticize us, and they probably do. We just haven't seen it yet.
We just haven't seen it, thank
or
God.
We're going to copy it, or we're going to, you know, slam it, whatever you want to call it. We knew that. It's when we started. We know all this. It's just, I think we're just wanting to get this off our chest. It's frustrating.
Yeah, it's frustrating. And I'm sure, you know, I'd love to hear people who listen.
Yes.
Have you ever been taken advantage of, even on the internet, really, or like anything like this have happened to you where your artwork has been stolen? Because I'm sure it has, right? And it's the feeling it leaves is very awkward. I feel awkward even talking about it.
It's weird.
It's gross. It's vulnerable. It's awkward. To know that people are out there consciously taking something that's yours, but also taking the responsibility personally that I know I put myself out there, right? So it's like, it's hard to balance. It's a hard balance.
It's a really hard line to walk. It's a really hard line to walk, but hopefully you've never had that experience where somebody took something that, you know, you really held sacred and, you know, I mean, I know it happens all the time in different forms, but it's hurtful. It just really hurts my feelings.
Yeah.
So even though we knew what we were getting into when we did this, it still makes it no less frustrating to deal with it. So just know we're not, you know, we know there's nothing we can do about it, but it's one of those things, those helpless feelings that we just had to get off our chest.
Yeah, and that's why I love this podcast, because we can talk about hard stuff, right? And
we can talk about the issues.
I feel like it's what I would want to hear from other podcasters is talking about real life.
Real stuff.
Real stuff.
And then we can turn around and have a tea party.
Hell yeah, I talk about witchcraft.
Exactly. August 8th, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Zoom. We will post the link on Facebook and we will post it on Instagram. So you can come and join us, face or no face, voice or no voice. Join us with your teacups and your witchy hats and your witchy clothes and your witchy jewelry and whatever you want to bring to the table. And maybe some snacks.
I'm going to have my tea. My beautiful teacup.
I'm going to have my tea. I'm going to have my snacks. And
I can't wait.
Yes, me either.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
If you guys have any questions at all, please send us an email, mindfulwitchery@gmail.com. Go follow us on Instagram, please, because I'm going to start posting more, doing some more video-related stuff.
And like us on Facebook.
Mindful Witchery, I believe, just look up both.
Mindful Witchery Podcast.
Mindful Witchery Podcast.
Yes, and please join us. We are so looking forward. Look for those links because we are so looking forward to having a tea party with you.
Yeah, and I guess we'll see you guys. I don't know if this is the last episode.
Well, I think maybe next week.
Next week, okay.
Next week, and then we're going to take our little break in August. Except for the tea party, we're going to be at the tea party.
Yeah.
You won't be at the tea party by yourselves. You will have the hosts.
We promise.
Yes.
And Lori, maybe you should bring your cat.
I will bring the cat.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll bring the cat. I will wear my hat. I will bring my tea, my snacks, all those things.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for
Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening.
Being real with us.
Because that's what friends are for, man, who get to even the most, the craziest things to get off our chest.
Yeah.
That's what friends do.
Yeah.
So.
And that's why podcasts are so great.
Yes.
Because we can talk about real stuff.
I love it. See, I feel all better now.
Right? I know. I'm gonna have more smoothie.
Yes.
All right, I should go now. Goodbye, guys.
Bye, guys.